What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Not for Debate. Great one, Devore here. You can go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button, most definitely share. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other major streaming platforms. I think it might just be a solo dolo for me this evening. Clearly, not exactly the Super Bowl that we were all expecting, to be completely honest with you. Um, Actually, to be completely honest, I think I'm I feel a whole lot better about coming on this evening alone because, to be honest, uh, the private chat that we have, Shake and Banks have, um, it didn't seem like it was going to go bode well for me this evening. So again, like I'm extremely happy. Well, I still would say happy, but feel a whole lot better about coming solo dolo this evening. But again, not exactly the Super Bowl that we were expecting. Final score ended up being Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs 9. Obviously, like I said, the just not what we was expecting. To be honest, it was probably what I would probably compare this Super Bowl to would probably be the Seattle and Denver Super Bowl. If you remember the one, the when Peyton Manning's first year with the Denver Broncos. Don't get me lying, what year that was? That probably was around 20. I want to say 2015. I really want to say 2015. Is it 2015? Um, the Denver Broncos were the greatest offense of all time, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up putting up the most points in the season, and at the time, the Seattle Seahawks had the Legion of Boom, probably top three defense in the league, to be honest with you, and ended up ending in a shutout. And that's what it kind of it looked like yesterday evening in the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. Obviously, the Buccaneers were sitting at home. I felt like that played a big, huge advantage due to crowd noise, but also with that, the Kansas City Chiefs, they were playing without their starting their starting tackles. So it's this goes for not even just the Kansas City Chiefs, but any offense. Like if you're unable to protect the quarterback, your offense will not be successful. That's just number one, plain and simple. If you don't have the offensive line to protect your quarterback, you're not gonna have a successful offense. Now, when we look back at the game, well, the Chiefs in general, the Chiefs, what they like to do is throw the football deep to Miko Hartman, Tyreek Hill, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to generate pressure with just their front four. Now, the game got out of hand pretty early. Honestly, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up taking a two-possession lead on the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were already ranked. I believe they were first in rush defense. So running the football on the Kansas City Chiefs, I felt like was running the football on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was going to be difficult, to be completely honest with you. But just looking at it, I felt like, as far as scheme wise, the the Kansas City Chiefs should have made the adjustments during the course of the game, like either coming out chipping with Travis Kelsey, and or chipping with the running back, wherever you can provide that extra pass protection for Patrick Mahomes, because throughout the whole game, Patrick Mahomes was constantly running for his life, trying to make plays. And I know there's going to be some people out there that are going to be like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes ended up being exposed, but I wouldn't write off Patrick Mahomes just yet at this point. It's only what, year 4 of his career. He's done phenomenally throughout the course of his career thus far, and you're not gonna get a Tom Brady is the GOAT speech out of me this evening. 7 Super Bowls, you can't ignore that. But I'll put it to like this: he's in the conversation, right? I'll go ahead and put Tom Brady in the conversation as being in the GOAT conversation as far as that's concerned. But just to look back at Tom Brady's career, obviously, his tenure in New England, ended up winning 6 Super Bowls, and the biggest critic to Tom Brady coming into this season was, is he able to do it without Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots? Um, Obviously, he was able to prove us doubters wrong. Me personally, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, but yeah, he it's I was wrong, right? It's hard to say, but I was wrong. At the end of the day, Tom Brady ended up doing a phenomenal job as far as in this Super Bowl performance, able to throw for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, and most importantly, didn't throw for any picks. As far as from the beginning of the playoffs, Tom Brady has struggled to take care of the football, and he was extremely efficient. Now, when it comes down to, because I did want to highlight the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rushing attack too as well, because Leonard Fournette ended up having 89 yards rushing, and Ronald Jones ended up having over 50 yards rushing. So though them being able to establish the run game on the ground provided them to have some success with the play action, and that's one of Tom Brady's strength, is able to thrive off the play action pass, as you saw. Um, the, I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs did an excellent job trying to take away Mike Evans uh, early on in the game, but there's just so many weapons on that Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense where they're just really tough to stop. Just really tough to stop. So, like, if you just look back at the acquisitions after the draft, like Leonard Fournette, some people, me personally, I didn't think he was washed. I felt like he's still a highly productive player. Um, he came out and almost rushed for over 100 yards. He seemed energized throughout the course of these playoffs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not going to lie. Like, if you saw him during the course of the regular season, Leonard Fournette didn't get that many touches, but when it was his time during the course of the playoffs, he came out to play. He looked like he was looked like the Leonard Fournette where he ended up getting 25 plus touches for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And again, Ronald Jones, he was an excellent complement to that, even though he ended up being the featured back throughout the course of the season. But it's just one of those. It's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team as a whole is very, very interesting to me. I saw, like, just looking at the coaching staff, they ended up having like 2 women coaches on their coaching staff. Ended up having 3 black coaches on the coaching staff. So kudos to Bruce Arians. Even though Bruce Arians, I was a fan of Bruce Arians back when he was the Arizona Cardinals head coach. Now, Bruce Arians bounced around a little bit. Obviously, he's with the Indianapolis Colts at one time. Was with the Pittsburgh Steelers at one time. But as a coach, as a motivational coach, like, Bruce Arians is like the definition, because like he just makes you just want to play for him, and for him to go out there and have obviously the 3 back coaches and the two women coaches set a statement as far as the NFL is concerned. Now, we can get into, as far as moving forward, as far as head coaches are concerned, head coaching candidates are concerned, when it comes down to Byron Leftwich, because I felt like he did a phenomenal job being able to work with Tom Brady. So I feel like at this point, Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is extremely underrated. So I'll probably say next year after the 2020 season, I will probably make a strong case that Byron Leftwich should be in the head coaching conversation. Now, again, going back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as far as the offseason is concerned, right? Like you added just looking back at the 2019 season. Now, me personally, when I look at the success for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2019, you had Jameis Winston as your quarterback, end up throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 picks, 5,000 yards. Being able to throw for 5,000 yards is not no easy feat. Being able to throw for 30 touchdowns is not an easy feat. Now, the 30 interceptions, now that's a big, huge problem. Taking care of the football is key. But as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being able to go out in the offseason during the draft, being able to draft Tristan Wirfs to solidify that right tackle position. Obviously, protection was a big, huge issue for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had some good key players, playmakers. Mike Evans, Godwin, OJ Howard at one point, but he ended up getting hurt. And then you just ended up plugging and playing Rob Gronkowski, which, again, I don't think I touched on this during the course of the Super Bowl. Like, he looked like that old Rob Gronkowski. Like, he was that dominant Rob Gronkowski, ended up scoring 2 touchdowns. So, again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just on the offensive side of the football in general with just so many weapons across the board where you just cannot just key in on one player. Somebody else is going to end up making a play. Now, defensively, looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, I don't want to say underrated because Jason Pierre-Paul is a perennial pass rusher in the league. Shaquille Barrett is a superior pass rusher in this league. I believe 10 plus sacks this season for Shaquille Barrett. You look at the Ndamukong Suh during the course of the game, just looked like that Detroit Lions, the Ndamukong Suh. Like, I just looking at the level of productivity from the Ndamukong Suh just got me thinking for real. I believe it was 2014, the Miami Dolphins ended up going to Detroit and playing the Lions. The Ndamukong Suh dominated that game. Like, I remember Mike Pouncey ended up playing, that was at the right guard position. And the Ndamukong Suh just tore through the line, just ended up tearing through the line, doing his thing. And just watching Pouncey just hold on to his hips, trying to prevent him from getting to the quarterback or making a play in the backfield. But that's how dominant that the front four for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. And I give kudos to them, man. I give kudos to them. They was able to apply pressure with just their front four. And as far as on the back end, everybody else was able to go out and cover the receivers in the tight end position. Now, man, Devin Bush, excuse me. That he's phenomenal, man. Excuse me, not Devin Bush, Devin White. Excuse me, Devin White. He's phenomenal throughout these playoffs, especially during the course of this game. Like, he's just a 3-down linebacker, which something that you want. I feel like nowadays in the NFL, you end up having a 2-down linebacker come in there, stop the run for 2 plays, end up coming out, that you have your pass coverage linebacker. But as far as Devin White is concerned, he's a 3-down linebacker and end up going in there doing his thing. I'm just thinking back. I know this is about the Super Bowl, but Antoine Winfield, he's just a phenomenal player. Just a phenomenal player, man. Like, I just thinking the Dolphins. Just thinking about the Dolphins in the draft when they ended up trading back to like the 27th pick, and the opportunity to draft Antoine Winfield was there, and it was just it was just extremely disappointing to see him go out there and ball the way that he balled throughout the course of the season. End up being in the rookie of the year conversation. End up being in the rookie of the year conversation. So that was just it's just it was I'm happy for him as far as the way he's playing, but at the same time I'm upset because the Dolphins had an opportunity to end up getting him in the NFL draft. But again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just what they was able to do as a team, bring in all these misfit players. Gronkowski, like I said before, yeah, totally forgot about Antonio Brown. I don't know why he ended up scoring a touchdown. Antonio Brown, him going what he ended up going through, ended up scoring a touchdown. Like that was just amazing. Now, another thing I did want to end up touching on as far as the Kansas City Chiefs was concerned, and I feel like this was extremely pivotal during the course of the first half, was the fact that the the Kansas City Chiefs didn't make it any easier for themselves. They ended up having like I believe like over 95 yards and penalties. 95 yards and penalties in the first half. So like it was either a pass interference penalty that was called consistently, and I know there's going to be some people in there that are going to look back and be like, "Yo, like they were really trying to get Brady out the way." But to be honest with you, any other nine times out of 10, I'm going to be on board with you. But looking at the Kansas City Chiefs throughout this game, the Chiefs, the defensive backs, Breland, um, they were holding. I'm sorry. They were just ended up holding. But again, the penalties in this game was huge. Was huge, especially at this magnitude. Like what can make or break a team or penalties and turnovers. And there were some key penalties in that and during the course of this game where the Kansas City Chiefs could have got off the field and ended it with a punt or a field goal, and they ended up taking the penalty, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up getting the first down. Which set them up into perfect scoring position. So it's penalties and turnovers is particularly key when it comes to a very very close football game, if you get what I mean. But again, man, just going back to the Buccaneers, like just bringing in a bunch of outcasts. Gronk coming out of retirement, Leonard Fournette being cut from the Jacksonville Jaguars, ended up signing with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, I would bring LaShawn McCoy into this conversation, but wasn't really a key contributor. But I did want to say something about LaShawn McCoy because like two back-to-back Super Bowls, two back-to-back Super Bowls, he did not contribute in and ended up coming away with two easy Super Bowl rings. Isn't that crazy? End up being in the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019. Didn't contribute and end up coming into the 2020 Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and did not contribute. And he ended up coming away with two Super Bowl rings. Me personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like how lucky that's got to be that's got to be really lucky. He's got to be really lucky. Now, I'm pretty sure when it comes down to if I haven't checked the numbers as far as Hall of Fame status is concerned, would they factor those two Super Bowls in there? Me personally, if we were to bring this conversation up 2, maybe 3 years from now, I probably would have forgotten that LaShawn McCoy would have won those two Super Bowls, but he got them. He got them. Now, like I said, this wasn't supposed to be a long pod this evening, but the other thing I wanted to touch on was like the altercation between Tom Brady and Tyrann Mathieu. Now, I, this is one of my biggest issues with Tom Brady. With Tom Brady, I won't say Tom Brady, but you know what? I'm not even going to take it there. We're just going to break down. We're just going to break down this whole altercation. Now, Tom Brady ended up making a completion to the receiver, and then obviously Tyrann Mathieu and Tom Brady got into a little bit of having a conversation on the sideline on their way to the sideline. Didn't exactly catch what was said, but then after that, Tom Brady made sure he hunted Tyrann Mathieu down to end up saying what he wanted to say. And then Tyrann Mathieu ended up putting his finger in his face, and Tyrann Mathieu ended up coming away with the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But when I'm thinking about it, like, no, over the course of Tom Brady's career, because believe me, I've watched Tom Brady's career very, very closely. Obviously, I'm a Dolphins fan, so very, very closely. Never seen Tom Brady end up acting in that manner ever. Never seen it. So like that was very, very interesting. But what one of the things that I really enjoy is this turns people off, but the smack talk, and then right after that you get him right, hit him right in the face with it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a couple plays after that, Tom Brady ended up hitting the receiver in the end zone for a touchdown with, guess who? Tyrann Mathieu with coverage. So really, in that, whatever that was, I felt like, well, regardless, Tom Brady ended up walking away with bragging rights because obviously they won the game, and then end up completing the pass with Tyrann Mathieu in the area. So again, Tom Brady ended up walking away with that. Now, 7 rings. 7 rings. Am I ready to concede that? Am I ready to concede the GOAT? I'm gonna tell you a story. I believe it was when Tom Brady ended up facing the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and I believe this was ring number 4 or 5. I think it was 4. No, 4. Yeah, it was 4. Had to be 4 because after that Super Bowl, he ended up beating the Falcons. So that's 5, 6. 6 is the Rams. Okay, so yeah, it was 4. It was 4. It was definitely 4. So after Russell Wilson ended up throwing that pick, and I sat there and I thought about it for real. I was like, man, Tom Brady is the GOAT. But then I retracted this. I never said it publicly, but it just been sticking at the back of my mind. And then I kind of retracted it, and then I came back to it. I retracted it again and came back to it. But as far as success, team success, well, quarterbacks as far as resume, 7 Super Bowl rings. Obviously, end up taking 2 teams to the Super Bowl. End up hosting a home Super Bowl. It's kind of hard to sit back and debate with that, but you know what? I'm not going to say it. I just can't. It's just hard for me to say. It's very, very, very hard for me to say. So, with that being said, look, at the end of the day, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians. They're the Super Bowl champions. Now, looking forward as far as 2020 for the Kansas City Chiefs, because, like, again, I know there's going to be some critics out there saying that Patrick Mahomes is washed, Patrick Mahomes is exposed. Look, for everybody to know, when it comes down to it, no offense can be successful without an offensive line. And you saw firsthand, as amazing as Patrick Mahomes has been throughout the course of his career, he looked like a mediocre quarterback without his protection. Now think back. Think about that for a second. Think about all the quarterbacks in the past that, let's say, bottom half in the league as far as quarterback hits, sacks allowed, which, by the way, the Super Bowl, I think they had it was a record of 20 plus pressures on Patrick Mahomes. But again, going back to what I was saying about think back about the quarterbacks that have been put in situations where they were in the bottom half as far as quarterback pressures, bottom half as far as quarterback hits, bottom half as far as sacks allowed. Just think about those quarterbacks for a second. Do you really think that they were busts because they couldn't play? Or do you think they just did not have the opportunity? They didn't have the opportunity to showcase the talent, because you look at it you have no time to throw the football, like it's extremely difficult. Receivers can't develop the routes because the defense is in the backfield. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave it with that. Just going to leave it with that. Mic drop. Again, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button. Like button, subscribe button, and most definitely share. Also, this Wednesday, we are going to have the NBA. Obviously, All-Star Weekend is this week. I was sitting here thinking about it. How do I want to put this on here? But yeah, this Wednesday we're going to have the NBA All-Star Draft. Now I'm gonna break it down to you. It's going to end up being. I'm thinking about I haven't exactly have like how exactly I want it to go, because I'm battling between 2 teams and 4 teams. But obviously we're going to be picking based off the voting, and then we're going to end up be picking this Wednesday. But hopefully we have everybody in house. But again, this is the Not for Debate podcast. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, most definitely share. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and all other streaming services. This is Great One DeVore. This is the Not for Debate podcast. I'm up out of here, man.